actually we have a resource person, Dr. Ajay Yeshwant Munch from RFRS Vengurla. He's an entomologist basically. We have requested him in short notice. Actually, he accepted our invitation for this training program. I thank you, sir. Thank you very much, and invite you. Welcome you for this training program. So please share your presentation and enlighten our participants.
Yes. Thank you, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. First of all, I welcome you all for this training, virtual training. Respected Director, Dr. Praveen Kumar sir, then Dr. Manisha, Dr. Alfonso, Dr. Desai, other scientists from ICAR, CCRI, Goa, then our Associate Director of Research, Dr. B.N. Sawant, our horticulturist, Dr. Gavankar, and all the trainees. Just you have heard a very good lecture from Dr. Manisha regarding the rejuvenation and canopy management. The second part of this rejuvenation is the pest management or pest and disease management. Because if you don't manage the pest and diseases after rejuvenation, you will get nothing. That's why this second topic is also most important. Can I share my PPT? I'm going to share.
Please share, sir. Please share, sir.
Yes. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Yes. I welcome you all. The topic of my presentation is pest and disease management after rejuvenation or after canopy management in mango. After in rejuvenation or in canopy management, what we do, that we do the pruning of trees, or we cut the branches, or we cut the big branches. After cutting the big branches, we get the incidence of stem borer. That is the first and foremost important pest in this after this rejuvenation, because we are giving a cut to big branches, and we are severely pruning the branches. And after pruning, there will be a gum oozes out from the cut branches, which will attract the stem borer to lay eggs, and therefore the incidence of stem borer will be increased in these trees. And after pruning, within a say 30 to 50 days, we get profuse vegetative flush. We get profuse vegetative flush, and on that flush, you will get the incidence of many foliage feeders like mango hopper, then mango midge, then thrips, shoot borer, mealybug, leaf-eating caterpillars, different leaf-eating caterpillars, then leaf-eating beetles, leaf-cutting weevils, and leaf miner. These 8 to 10 important pests will appear on this vegetative flush, and also some diseases will appear. Among the different important diseases, the first and foremost important disease is the anthracnose. Almost you get more than 50% incidence of this anthracnose disease. The second important is branch dying. Sometimes the branches get die due to the fungus or the non-sporulating fungi. Then the third important disease is red rust. It is found on the older leaves. And fourth important disease is pink disease. On the branches, we found the incidence of pink disease. Let us see one by one. Actually, these are some photographs for the rejuvenation or the canopy management. Sometimes this type we give the cuts, we cut the tree in this manner. See, these are the cutted trees. After cutting, you get the vegetative flush like this. Here in second photograph, the profuse vegetative flush is there. We have to manage this flush. Yes, we are getting this flush. This is one of the demonstration. The first important pest is mango stem borer. The scientific name of mango stem borer is Batocera rufomaculata. It is a beetle. The adult is a stoutly built beetle. The female beetle lay eggs singly in the cracks and crevices on the tree trunk. When we cut the trees, we will find the cracks and crevices getting building on the tree trunk, and in that cracks and crevices, the adult female beetle, it is attracted towards that gum, and it lay eggs in the cracks and crevices. These eggs, if we examine these cracks and crevices, we can find the eggs. Eggs are looks like rice grain. Eggs are like rice grain. These eggs hatch out within 7 to 13 days. The grub is slender and whitish, creamy colored, and without legs. That means it is a legless. It is not having any leg. The full-grown grub is very stout, about 1.5 centimeter thick, and with well-developed mandibles. The larval stage lasts for about 140 to 160 days. That means the larval period is very high. The full-grown grub pupates inside the infested stem. It bores into the stem. Initially, actually, it feeds on the bark itself when the larva is small, and when the larva becomes stout, it builds into the main stem. The pupal stage is 20 to 25 days. These are the different photographs. See, this is the this is the grub, well-developed grub, full-grown grub. It is about 7 to 8 centimeter long and 1 to 1.5 centimeter wide. This is the pupa. Pupa is orange colored. And the next photograph is the stoutly built adult. It is a beetle having long antennae, grayish colored, with orange spot on the thoracic region. The immature larva bores into the bark initially, and afterwards it enters into the main stem. The internal content gets badly damaged. The stem becomes hollow, and after some time, the whole tree will get die due to this incidence. The gum and frass comes out from the bark, and we can find the gum or gummy frass at the base of the tree. The badly infested trees leads to death. There are the different control measures, because only we can adopt the integrated approach for management of all these pests. The first and foremost important is, after cutting the branches or main stem, you have to apply coal tar, that is black Japan, which is available in our which is available in market in hardware stores. You have to mix 20 gram of carbendazim powder in 1 liter of black Japan and apply this black Japan to all the cut edges of the plant with the help of paintbrush. Then second important control measure is spray of chlorpyrifos or swabbing of chlorpyrifos 20 EC at the rate 5 ml per liter on whole tree and branches. And repeat this application for 3 to 4 times at weekly or 15 days interval. Third important control measure is regular monitoring. You have to monitor the tree trunk frequently, that is at 7 days interval or 15 days interval. And if you observe some gummy frost on the stem or on the ground, on the tree base, at the tree base, you have to give the application of chlorpyrifos. Plus, first you have to remove the grub from the infested plant part. If found infested, remove the grubs with the help of chisel and give swabbing of chlorpyrifos 20 EC at the rate 5 ml per liter. Then uproot. Next one is uproot and burn the severely damaged branches and dead trees. Sometimes the branches are getting severely damaged beyond control. Simply you can cut these branches or dead trees and you can burn these dead trees. Then next one is disposal of cut branches by either burning or by making it into small pieces. Sometimes we do one mistake that whatever the cut branches are there, we keep that branches in the orchard itself. It will increase your incidence of stem borer, because whatever the branches we have cutted in the field, if you keep it in the field as such, the stem borer will come, the adult female will come and will lay eggs in that cut branches, and in this way the incidence of stem borer will get increased. Therefore, we have to dispose the cut branches by burning or making it into small pieces. This is about the stem borer. Then the second most important, after pruning or after rejuvenation, what we get next is the vegetative flush. We get profuse vegetative flush on the cut ends of the trees, and on that vegetative flush we observe the incidence of many foliage feeding insects. The first and foremost important foliage feeder is the mango hopper. The scientific name of mango hopper, there are 3-4 different species: the Idioscopus nivesparsus, Idioscopus clypealis, Amritodus atkinsoni. But in our region, that is Konkan and Goa region, we find the incidence of Idioscopus nivesparsus, which is predominant in our region. The Idioscopus nivesparsus species, this is the photograph of Idioscopus nivesparsus species. These are the adults. These are 4 to 5 millimeter long, greenish gray colored, just like wedge shape, or you can say it is just like a wheat grain. It is like a shape of wheat grain, and one triangular band is present on the neck region of this mango hopper. Then these are the different photographs of first photograph is eggs of hopper. The eggs are laid in the midrib at the under surface. Wherever the eggs are laid, the leaves get turned. There is curling of leaves wherever there are the eggs are laid. The second photograph is the nymphs of mango hopper. These are blackish colored, blackish to grayish colored. And third photograph is it is the honeydew-like substance which is excreted by these hoppers on leaves. The female lay eggs in the midribs. The incubation period is 3 to 5 days. The nymphal period is 10 to 15 days. And the pest incidence is more during November to February in our Konkan region. That is the nymphs and hoppers, they suck the cell sap from tender foliage. Apart from tender foliage, they also suck the cell sap from inflorescence as well as the fruits. But I'm considering only the vegetative flush, because after rejuvenation we get a profuse vegetative flush only, and therefore I'm considering only the flush. They suck the sap from tender foliage, and the leaves get twisted and sometimes dries off. Also, the hoppers excrete honeydew-like substance on all the plant parts, and on that honeydew-like substance, the black sooty mold, which is present in the nature, that is the fungus, it develops on the that honeydew-like substance, and that is why the whole tree becomes blackish, because that black fungus, it develops on the entire tree. These are some of the control measures are given here. You can spray the recommended insecticides, which are recommended by Dr. Balasaheb Sawant, Konkan Krishi Vidyapeeth. The first important pesticide is deltamethrin, 2.8 EC at the rate 0.9 ml per liter. The second one is lambda cyhalothrin, 5 EC at the rate 0.6 ml per liter. Then imidacloprid, 17.8 SL at the rate 0.3 ml per liter. Then thiamethoxam, 25 Wg at the rate 0.2 gram per liter. Then dimethoate, 30 EC at the rate 1.5 ml per liter. And last one is buprofezin, which is recently recommended by our university, which is recommended at the dose of 2 ml per liter. You can use any one of the insecticides. These are the label claim insecticides which are recommended by our university. You can give 2 to 3 sprays depending on the incidence at the interval of 10 to 15 days. Then the second important pest is the midge. Whatever the vegetative flush we get, on that vegetative flush we found the incidence of the midge, that is Erythromeria indica. The eggs are laid on the tender foliage and leaf stalk. Eggs hatch out within 2 to 3 days. The life cycle is very, the pest is very small, a very minute insect it is. We can't observe with naked eyes. It is very minute. It is active during September to November, and on hatching, the maggots bore into the tender tissues, which create black bulging spots at the feeding site, and severe damage results in withering of and drying of the tender foliage. These are the photographs. In first photograph, the blackish spots are found on the leaf panicle, leaf stalk. Yes, these are the different stages of this niche. The first photograph is maggot, which comes out from the infested portion. The maggots fall down on the ground for pupation, and these are the pupae. The second photograph is pupae, which are found in soil, and third one is the adult midge. It is very minute fly, And third, last photograph is these are the midges. Yellow maggots are the midge maggots. These are coming out from the infested plant parts. These are the also good photographs. This is the damage. Then regarding the control measures, the incidence is found during September to November. During this period, you can keep place black polythene paper at the base of the tree trunk to avoid the maggots from going to pupation. And second one is the spray of dimethoate. As a internal borer, it is you have to give some synthetic stomach poison, that is the dimethoate. We have to spray it at the rate of 12 ml per 10 liter, 12 to 15 ml per 10 liter. And the third important pest is the thrips. There are different species of thrips we have recorded at RFRS Vengurla recently on vegetative flush, on foliage, on inflorescence, and on the fruits itself, fruits also. These are the different species, that is Ceratothrips dorsalis, Thrips florum, Haplothrips gangalbauri, Bathrip jasmini, Thrips flavus, Thrips hawaiiensis, etc. These are the yellowish colored very small insects. Some are blackish colored. Many species are found. The female lay eggs in the leaf veins on the undersurface of leaves. Eggs hatch out within 3 to 5 days, and the nymphal period is 10 to 14 days, and pupation takes place in soil, and infestation is found severe during December to February in our region, that is in Konkan region. These are the photograph shows the small thrips which are found on the leaf surface. They lacerate the leaf tissues. These thrips, they don't directly suck the juice or the cell sap. They lacerate for the tissues first and then suck the cell sap. Because of the lacerating habit, we found the damage on the leaves. That is, the veins are getting blackish. The leaf veins are becomes blackish. Sometimes the leaves fall down on the ground. Severe defoliation will occur. And on fruits, you get different type of damage. That is, the entire green color of the fruit turns to brownish, and you will mango fruits will become turns to sapota fruits, just like. Then these are the control measures. Previously, we have recommended dimethoate for management of these thrips on vegetative flush, and recently we have recommended, we have given one more recommendation of spinosad and thimethoxam for management of thrips on the fruits. We have to spray the spinosad at the rate 2.5 ml per 10 liter, followed by second spray with thimethoxam 25 Wg at the rate 2 gram per 10 liter at 10 to 15 days interval. Then third most important pest you get on the vegetative flush is the shoot borer. You can find a profuse vegetative flush on the cut branches, and it is infested by the shoot borer. It is most important pest in this vegetative flush. Uh, these are the different photographs. In first photograph, you can find that there is a hole which is made by the shoot borer while entering into the shoot. The this second photograph is the mature larva which comes out from the damaged shoot, and third photograph is the hollow gallery which is made by the larva on the shoot. This scientific name of this pest is Clumecia transversa. It is a moth. The adult is a moth. The female moth lay eggs on the tender leaves. Larva, after hatching, enters into tender shoots by boring through the tender shoots and feeds internally. Infested shoots wither and dries off. Prominent hole is seen on the infested shoot. The excreta of the larva is found extruding from that hole. The newly hatched larva is yellowish colored, which turns to dark pink at the latter stage, and full-grown larva measures about 15 to 18 millimeter in length. The larval period is about 2 weeks. The larva pupates inside the infested shoot itself. These are the different stages. That is the pupa, which is found inside the infested shoot, and this is the adult moth. The adult is blackish brown colored, medium sized moth with wingspan of 15 to 17 millimeter. Pupa is light brown, 8 to 9 millimeter long, and the pupal period is 8 to 10 days. The control measures for this, we have recommended, previously we have recommended monocrotophos and quinolphos for management of this shoot borer at the rate of 2 ml per liter quinolphos and 1.5 ml monocrotophos for this management. We can also manage this pest by hand removal of the infested shoots during the initial period. If you carefully monitor the shoots, and if you find any incidents, you can remove the infected shoots and you vegetative flush. We get the incidence of this mealybug. It is just like a mango hopper. They are the soft-bodied insect. These are found in large number on this vegetative flush. They are congregated together. They suck the cell sap from the tender plant parts, and after sucking, they excrete the honeydew-like substance, just like mango hopper. And on that honeydew-like substance, we found the black sooty mold. Control measures: apply insecticide dust at the base of the tree trunk, then fix 30 centimeter wide 400 gauge alkathane sheets around the tree trunk 1 meter above the ground level. Then spray chloropyrifos 20 EC at the rate 2 ml per liter. And as there is a waxy coating on the body of the pest, it is advisable to spray to mix sticker in spray solution at the rate 0.5 ml per liter. Then the next pest is leaf-eating caterpillar. There are different leaf-eating caterpillars. One is semilooper, another one is hairy caterpillar, and third one is pale green caterpillar. Also, there are other caterpillars are also there, but the incidence is very minor. This is the semilooper. It is a caterpillar. It is yellowish colored initially, when which turns to reddish color when the color of the foliage is reddish, and the caterpillar turns to green when the foliage becomes green, and full-grown caterpillar is about 20 to 25 millimeter long. That means it's very big larva. The pupa is light brown and moth is pale green. These are the different photographs. This is the pupa and this is the adult. This is an adult moth. This is the another caterpillar, that is hairy caterpillar. It is also found on the vegetative flush, eating the leaves severely. This is another caterpillar, that is pale green caterpillar. It is recently found at RFRS Vengurla. It is unfortunately not identified yet. For management of this caterpillars, different caterpillars, you can give a single spray of either quinolphos or monoprotophos. It is sufficient for management of these caterpillars. Only you have to spray it at right stage. Then these are the different the vegetative flush, leaf eating beetle, Monolepta beetle. There are also some leaf cutting. This is one of the weevil is found to cut the leaves. It actually lacerates the tissues. It scraps the tissues of leaves, and it lay eggs on the terminal part of the leaf, and it cut the leaves from the leaf stalk. After falling the leaves, the grubs are found developed in the decaying leaves which are fall down on the ground. And from that decaying leaves, the beetle will come out from and will lay eggs on the new shoots. The control measure for management of leaf cutting beetle and leaf cutting weevil, both the beetles and weevils, we have to give a spray of deltamethrin at the rate 0.9 ml per liter. Only one spray is sufficient for management of these beetles and weevils, because the incidence is very minor. Then the next important is the leaf miner, Acrocercopes syndroma. It is a small moth, and it is gray colored, gray to silver colored. Full grown larva is whitish colored, measures about 4 to 5 mm length. Pupa is reddish colored. It mines, the larva mines after hatching into the leaf epidermis and feeds on the chlorophyll content, resulting into formation of blotches on the leaves. You can find this type of blotches on the leaf. It is the incidence of leaf miner only. The control measure for this leaf miner is you can spray imidacloprid at the rate 0.3 ml per 0.3 ml per liter, that is 3 ml per 10 liter. Only one spray you can give, it is sufficient. These are the different insect pests. Regarding the diseases, there are 3 to 4 diseases only. The first and foremost important is the anthracnose disease, or it is called as blight, leaf blight. These are the different symptoms which are found on the leaves. The blackish spot, numerous oval or irregular brown, deep brown spots of variable size are noticed on the leaves. Under severe infestation, all the leaves on the twigs will dry out and fall down on the ground. You can find that the black spots are there, which are surrounded by the yellow ring. This is the typical character of this Coletotrichum gloeosporioides. The causal organism is Coletotrichum, and also it is found apart from the tender foliage, it is found on the panicles and on the fruits itself. But as it is a presentation of this rejuvenation only, I have taken the part of foliage only. That's why only I am showing the photographs of foliage only. Regarding the management, for management of this anthracnose, many insecticides we have actually recommended, but among the different insecticides, the fungicides which are having the label claim, these are the only few are there. That is the carbendazim plus mancozeb or thiophanate methyl, then propinep. These are the different fungicides which are recommended for management of this anthracnose. Apart from these fungicides, there are many other fungicides like carbendazim, like azoxystrobin, then other are also there. The second important disease which is observed in a later stage after pruning is the branch dying. Sometimes the branches get die. The causal organism is actually the non-sporulating fungi. The period of infection is during the rainy season and after the rainy season. Actually, the infestation starts during rainy season, but we get the symptoms after rainy season. We find that the branches are dying after rainy season, but the infestation starts in the rainy season itself. Severity of disease predominantly in young plantation. In young plantation of up to 3 to 8 years or 3 to 10 years, the infestation is more, and in old gardens the infestation is very less. Regarding the symptoms, gum oozing from the stem bark, discoloration and rotting of the bark takes place. The infected branches are completely dried off along with leaves with no leaf fall. This is the typical character in this case. The leaves are not fall down on the ground. Only the branches are dead. There are two types of control measures. One is the preventive control measure and another is the curative control measure. We have to adopt preventive control measures during rainy season itself. Whenever you find some rain gap, at that time you have to give the spray of either Bordeaux mixture or copper oxychloride or mancozeb. Bordeaux mixture at 1%, copper oxychloride at 0.3%, and mancozeb at 0.3%. Any one spray you can give during rainy season, and one more spray after rainy season, after rain stops, that is in the month of October or November. And regarding the curative measures, you can scrap the infested bark if the branch is not totally dried. You can save that branch by scraping the infected bark and applying the paste of Bordeaux paste. You can apply the Bordeaux paste or copper oxychloride, paste of copper oxychloride or paste of mancozeb. You have to prepare the paste by mixing this Bordeaux mixture or copper oxychloride or mancozeb in little quantity of water, and you have to apply that paste on the infected portion with the help of brush. Then the next one is the red rust. It is not much severe, and it is not found on the tender foliage. It is found on the older leaves. The causal organism is Staphylococcus mycoidea. The older leaves are found infected. Period of infection is after rainy season. in symptoms, the disease can be recognized by rusty red spots, mainly on the older leaves, and sometimes on petioles. Initially, the spots are greenish colored. Later, they turns to reddish color. For management of this red rust, you have to spray either Bordeaux mixture or copper oxychloride after rainy season. That is in the month of November, December. You can give any one spray. The disease is manageable because the incidence is very low. Then the next minor disease is the pink disease. After pruning, you can find the incidence of pink disease. The causal organism is Botrytis basidium salmonicolor. The infested parts are branches. Period of infection is just after rainy season. You can find pinkish powder, twigs and branches. The fungus invades the bark total. Affected branches wilts and dries off. But the disease is intensity is not much. You can manage the cut and remove the affected branches, remove the entire infected end. Cut end should be protected with Bordeaux paste, and 2 to 3 sprays either of COC or Bordeaux mixture are recommended after rainy season for this disease. Then these are some strategies, integrated strategies for management of different pests and diseases after rejuvenation. For management of this stem borer, because the very important pest is the stem borer. You have to take care of stem borer because if you don't manage stem borer, the entire tree get dead or damaged, and therefore we have to take utmost care of the stem borer. Collection and removal of cut branches to minimize the incidence of stem borer. Most of the times, the farmers, what they do, they just cut the branches, but they don't remove the branches from the orchard. They keep the branches in the orchard itself. It will invite the problem of stem borer. That is why you have to collect these branches and destroy the branches. This second one is the regular monitoring of cut ends and branches to observe the gum and frass. You have to monitor the cut ends, and if you find any gum or frass coming out from the cut ends or from the branches, you can treat as it is infested by mango stem borer. Then you have to give swabbing or spraying of chloropyrifos 20 EC at the rate 5 ml per liter on whole tree, that is cut portion and whole tree. Then application of coal tar to cut ends is most important, because if you don't do this operation, there may be chances of decaying of the stem due to the entry of fungus. Also, you can use Bordeaux paste for smearing on the cut ends, but the Bordeaux paste can get vanished due to this rains. In between, if there are rains, the Bordeaux paste will get vanished. Therefore, you have to use the Black Japan. Then thinning of new shoots, it is also important. And the last one is give 2 to 3 sprays of recommended insecticides along with fungicides. It is not need of giving more than 3-4 sprays. You can manage the your foliage by giving a sequential sprays, 2 to 3 sprays of the recommended insecticides and along with fungicides. Also, you can use some botanicals like azadirachtin. If the infestation of pests is very low, you can use azadirachtin. Also, you can use some biopesticides like verticillium. Then you can use metarhizium for spray, which are available in market. This is all about the different pests and diseases which are found on the mango foliage and on mango stem. This is all about, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It was really a wonderful presentation, sir. Actually, you have shared in-depth knowledge regarding the mango pest and disease, not only canopy management after care. It is required overall pest and disease management of mango. I hope that this presentation will be highly useful for all the mango cultivators. Like regular pest and disease management operation need to be done in mango.